Last week, the S&P 500 jumped 5.7%, the Nasdaq soared 7.3%, and the Dow Jones increased 4.9%. U.S. stock prices bounced back in a relief rally after President Trump suspended reciprocal tariffs. While 10% global tariffs and 145% tariffs on China on U.S. imports remain, there was relief that any economic slowdown could not turn into a recession. Last week's lower-than-expected inflation data, 2.4% versus 2.5% expected, confirmed expectations that the Fed will cut interest rates at least twice this year. Crude oil prices rose modestly, but natural gas fell to its lowest level in 2 months. Gold prices surged to successive all-time highs, while silver prices also finished the week in the green. Platinum and palladium prices both finished higher, rebounding from last week's lows. The markets remain alert for further statements from President Trump on trade and foreign policy. Indirect talks between the U.S. and Iran could continue this week, but any breakdown could increase the chances that the U.S. will undertake military action. On Wednesday, U.S. retail sales data will be released, and Fed Chair Powell's remarks will be noted on Wednesday evening. On Thursday, the European Central Bank is expected to cut interest rates by 25 basis points. CVS's stock price surged 12.28% to a one-year high, continuing recent strong profit. The healthcare's stock price is a top performer in the U.S. stock market, rising over 50% this year, despite broader volatility. CVS demonstrated resilience against trade war uncertainty due to minimal exposure to global supply chains and provision of healthcare services in the U.S. A new management team appointed late last year and strong fourth-quarter earnings in February have boosted confidence in the company. Acquisitions of Signify Health and Oak Street Health show the company is ambitious about growth. CVS's first-quarter earnings will be revealed on May 1st. Tesla's stock price surged 13.02%, marking its best weekly performance in over a decade. The EV maker fell sharply in recent weeks following the imposition of U.S. tariffs on multiple countries due to Tesla's reliance on imported materials and the global supply chain. However, Trump's announcement of a 90-day suspension of most tariffs boosted the stock price. Despite challenges faced by Tesla, such as disappointing delivery numbers and a consumer boycott, anticipation around new products, i.e. an affordable EV model to be released this year, and progress with the Optimus robot creates possibilities for profit. Traders expect to hear more from CEO Musk when Tesla posts earnings on April 22nd. Crude oil prices climbed 2.7%, bouncing back after hitting a 4-year low on Wednesday. The rise came after President Trump announced the tariff suspension, as traders were relieved that a potential economic slowdown is not expected to evolve into a damaging recession, which could decrease oil demand. However, concerns remain due to the trade war between the U.S. and China, the two major consumers of crude oil. Oil prices remain underpinned by geopolitical tensions involving Iran, Libya, and Venezuela, while sanctions against Russian oil are still in place. Gold prices jumped 7.9% and resumed their record-breaking run, hitting a series of fresh all-time highs in one of their best weekly performances for years. Gold prices continued to be supported by the uncertainty generated by the trade war and by geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, Ukraine, and other regions. However, weaker U.S. inflation figures last week indicated that the Fed could cut interest rates 3 times this year, further underpinning support for gold. Wheat prices increased 5.1% to record a more than 1-month high. Price drivers for last week included significant hailstorms in one of Russia's largest wheat-producing regions, which damaged crops and negatively impacted the country's wheat output. Russia is the world's largest wheat exporter. Extreme weather conditions have threatened wheat crop yields in several countries, including the U.S., another major exporter. Geopolitical tensions continue to disrupt supply chains, while global consumption of wheat is growing. The EUR-USD pair traded 3.4% higher, marking one of the best weekly performances ever amid currency market volatility. U.S. tariffs have prompted traders to pull funds from U.S. instruments, leading to an increase in the euro as capital returned to the Eurozone. In Europe, Germany announced it agreed on a new spending plan, increasing Eurozone investor confidence. Softer U.S. inflation data increased expectations that the Fed could cut interest rates multiple times this year, weakening the greenback.